Welcome to the second Public Information Center for the Lambton Area Water Supply System, or LAWSS for short, Master Plan Update, Municipal Class Environmental Assessment Study. My name is Matt Phillips, the Consultant Project Manager from SEMA Plus, and I will be presenting on behalf of LAWSS. A transcript of this presentation and PDF copy of the slides are being made available on the LAWSS website. At the end of this presentation, you will find the contact information for the project leads. Please reach out to us. We welcome your comments, suggestions, and feedback. The Lambton Area Water Supply System, LAWSS, supplies water to over 100,000 customers within 3 subsystems or pressure zones. LAWSS is owned by the City of Sarnia, St. Clair Township, Town of Clinton, Wyoming, Municipality of Lambton Shores, Township of Warwick, and the Village of Point Edward. LAWSS also supplies water to the Municipality of Brook Alvinston. During emergencies, LAWSS can also supply water to Petrolia and Chatham-Kent. LAWSS is responsible for the treatment and distribution of water to municipalities and customers. The water system consists of the LAWSS water treatment plant and a network of water distribution pipes called water mains. The system is geographically divided into 3 areas or pressure zones. The water treatment plant, WTP subsystem, Zone 1, primarily includes Sarnia, Point Edward, and St. Clair. The forest subsystem, Zone 2, includes Forest and parts of Clinton, Wyoming. The Watford subsystem, Zone 3, includes Warwick, Watford, and parts of Clinton, Wyoming as well. LAWSS is responsible for the treatment and distribution of drinking water in much of Lambton County. The county is growing, and communities need sustainable water servicing for the future. In 2021, LAWSS completed a water system master plan. The master plan establishes a 20-year strategy to provide reliable drinking water infrastructure in the LAWSS service area. LAWSS is reviewing and updating its 2021 master plan with an updated 20-year planning horizon, 2026 to 2046. Population growth has accelerated since the last master plan and is expected to continue, which means higher water demand. In addition to population growth within the existing service areas, there is the possibility of a new municipal customer connecting to the system. These trends drive the need for system upgrades and strategic planning. The Municipal Class EA is a regulated process to guide the planning of public infrastructure. It provides opportunities for the public, government agencies, First Nation and Métis communities, and other interested persons to give feedback and guide decision-making. In simple terms, the Municipal Class EA process, approach number 1 for master plans consists of 4 steps. Step 1 involves defining the problem. This means understanding the existing challenges in the system and identifying future needs. Having a clear problem definition allows us to come up with appropriate solutions. A notice of study commencement is issued at this stage to announce the official start of the project and to invite comment and feedback. The notice of commencement for this project was first issued via email and made available on the LAWSS website on Wednesday, July 16th, 2025. The second step involves considering opportunities and overall strategies to address identified system challenges and developing a list of evaluation criteria to assess the alternative solutions. The criteria should assess project impacts to the natural environment, social and cultural impacts, technical merits, and financial costs. The first Public Information Center presented the findings of the first 2 steps to get feedback from you, the residents, business owners, and visitors of Lambton County, especially those who are users of or otherwise interested in the Lambton Area Water Supply System. The third step involves narrowing broad strategies down to more specific potential solutions and evaluating each alternative solution based on the identified criteria. The preferred solution will not necessarily be the one with the lowest cost, but the one that combines technical performance with reduced or minimal impact to the natural and social environments. The preliminary preferred solutions for this study are presented in this second Public Information Center. Feedback received from the public and other interested parties will be incorporated into the final assessment and selection of preferred alternatives. The fourth step of the process is to document the findings of the study. The findings are summarized in a master plan report, which will be made available on the LAWSS website and sent to those that have expressed interest in the project. A notice of master plan will be published when the report is available. After a 30-day review period, the Class EA master plan study will be considered complete. After completing the master plan, any projects defined as Schedule A and A+ may proceed to design and construction. Schedule B and C projects will still need to undergo separate detailed EA studies before being implemented. This master plan follows the Municipal Class Environmental Assessment process, or Municipal Class EA for short. More specifically, this study will follow approach number 1 for master plans. This means that the study will complete a preliminary evaluation of the high-level impacts of broad project alternatives identified under the master plan, but projects falling under Schedule B or C as defined in the Municipal Class EA process will undergo separate EA studies at a later time. The primary goal of this EA is to carry out meaningful consultation with the public and other interested parties, then apply feedback in master plan development. This second virtual Public Information Center, or PIC, presents updates on planned upgrades, EA studies already complete, servicing challenges and alternative solutions identified in this EA study, evaluation of alternative solutions, and preliminary preferred solutions and phasing plans. The project team wants to get your input after you view this Public Information Center. Here we've indicated some topics that interested persons may want to comment on, but we welcome all feedback. A transcript and PDF copy of the slides are also being made available on the LAWSS website. If you would like to access PIC materials in an alternative format, such as hard copy, please reach out to LAWSS at the phone number shown here or by email. Past studies and master plans have recommended upgrades to components of the LAWSS system. Several of these projects are already in the design stages, and the EA studies have been completed. These projects include the West Lambton Pump Station Improvements, East Lambton Booster Station Fill Constraints Project, Water Main Grid Reinforcement and Twinning. As part of this master plan update, we revisited these projects and confirmed that the upgrades are still needed to meet servicing targets in a similar timeline. Our analysis of future scenarios has therefore assumed that these upgrades will have been implemented. Notably, and we'll discuss this in more detail later, but the twinning and grid reinforcement projects, which were originally developed from a resiliency standpoint, have been found to now be needed to support regional growth in this iteration of the plan. We also found that it was necessary to propose a modified plan in place of what had been previously established to combat Watford Tower fill constraints in Zone 3. The new project better aligns with current SCADA flow data and indicated growth factors. For the Zone 1 planned upgrades, current cost estimates were obtained, or previous high-level cost estimates were updated to account for inflation. The interior pumping improvements at the West Lambton Pump Station are projected to cost between 7 and 10 million. These upgrades will be initiated after the ongoing reservoir rehabilitation project currently underway. The grid reinforcement and twinning projects are projected to cost roughly 114.6 million, and the East Lambton Booster Station Fill Constraints project is projected to cost roughly $5.1 million. The previous master plan proposed grid reinforcement and twinning projects, which involved the construction of new water mains to increase the supply to St. Clair and the West Lambton Reservoir, as well as improve system redundancy. While previously planned for implementation with a later time horizon, analysis of the current day situation shows that the grid reinforcement and twinning project upgrades are now needed in the short term to support system growth and potential emergency water usage by large industrial customers. It is recommended that LAWSS establish and refine water taking agreements with all new and current large industrial and commercial customers based on supply limitations while it works towards the implementation of these large-scale and expensive upgrades. Hydraulic analysis of future demands and conditions help to anticipate some of the servicing challenges the system may face. Modeling of the LAWSS system under 2046 conditions has identified the opportunity and need for pump optimization at the LAWSS water treatment plant, fill constraints at the West Lambton Pumping Station reservoir in Zone 1, specifically when large users are taking their maximum demands, low pressures in Forest if additional customers connect in Zone 2, and fill constraints and low pressures in Watford for Zone 3. The alternative solutions evaluated in this EA study were developed with the objective of addressing these servicing challenges. Based on our hydraulic analysis, there were also recommendations for additional minor upgrades or investigation that are not directly evaluated in this environmental assessment. This includes pumping capacity increases at the East Lambton Booster Station to improve redundancy, as well as a capacity study at the LAWSS water treatment plant. It is projected that by 2046, total demands will be approaching 80% of the LAWSS water treatment plant capacity. Upgrades for the water treatment plant will need to be considered in the near future. The evaluation process for this master plan assesses alternative solutions using the following steps. First, the team used hydraulic modeling to simulate current and future scenarios with and without implementation of alternative solutions. This allows for an understanding of how the system will change under future conditions and after the implementation of alternative solutions. Next, the team conducted a comparative assessment of the alternative solutions using a list of evaluation criteria shaped by the public. These criteria consider environmental, social, technical, and financial factors. Alternatives are given a grade depending on how effectively they satisfy these criteria. In step 3, the team then selected the highest scoring alternative solutions and uses them to develop the preliminary master plan, which looks over a 20-year planning horizon to 2046. The selection of alternatives and details included in the plan are not finalized at this point. The fourth step, which is where we are at the time of this presentation, involves confirming the preferred alternative solutions, completion of costing analysis, mitigation plans, and project sequencing. This fourth step also includes presenting the results in this Public Information Center, number 2. Lastly, the final step in the evaluation process involves refining the master plan document. This includes incorporating feedback from the public and other interested parties received at PIC number 2, and providing recommendations for future investigations and EA studies needed for each project in the master plan. The master plan report will be made publicly available for a 30-day review period once complete. Before the evaluation process could take place, the team developed a long list of proposed solution alternatives for each respective zone of the system. As a reminder, Zone 1 is the water treatment plant subsystem, Zone 2 is the forest subsystem, and Zone 3 is the Watford subsystem. These listed alternatives went through an initial screening process where those alternatives that didn't meet the 3 mandatory criteria were eliminated. These mandatory criteria were, number 1, that the maximum day water demands can be met over the 20-year planning horizon. 2, an appropriate range of service pressures can be provided across a service area in a maximum day scenario. And 3, proposed upgrades are compatible with existing facility capacities, processes, and key operations. Now we will look at the possible solution alternatives to address the forecasted servicing challenges that will face the system over the master planning horizon. The first is the need for optimization at the LAWSS water treatment plant, specifically at the high lift pumping station. By 2046, the LAWSS water treatment plant will approach 80% of its capacity, and upgrades will be needed to meet increased demand. Firstly, pumps at the existing water treatment plant high lift pumping station are not currently optimally sized for the system operations. Pump optimization could improve the handling of demand variability, increase energy efficiency, reduce greenhouse gas emissions, and simplify operations. The suggested treatment plant design flow of at least 2,100 liters per second is being considered to meet future demands and match the water treatment plant's capacity. For each of the following recommendations, pump upgrades could be phased in over time. Recommendations include installing a variable frequency drive on existing pump HLP2, install a second backwash pump for redundancy, and 3 systematic pump replacements to achieve design flows and pressures. Next, we will look at the solution alternatives proposed to address the primary projected service challenges for Zone 1. The first Zone 1 shortlisted alternative includes increasing pressure at the water treatment plant slightly, while lowering the pressure needed to allow an increased reservoir filling flow rate at the West Lambton pump station. This second alternative involves upsizing the pipes between the water treatment plant and the West Lambton pump station. The path and extent of the pipes proposed for alternative 2 is shown in the figure on the right as a solid black line. Additional Zone 1 alternatives involve replacing the Indian Road elevated tank, which is located upstream of the West Lambton reservoir, with a larger tank. The new tank could be constructed at the same location, or at a new location, or at the East Lambton Booster Station site in Clinton, Wyoming. Increased elevated storage can help improve operational flexibility when filling the West Lambton reservoir. The final alternative for Zone 1 is constructing a direct feeder main from the water treatment plant to the West Lambton pump station reservoir. This would involve approximately 12 kilometers of new 900 millimeter pipe, as shown on the figure. The preliminary cost estimates for the Zone 1 shortlisted alternatives are shown. A comparison of estimated operational costs is also provided. Capital and operational costs were 2 criteria factored into the comparison of the alternatives. During the evaluation process, the team compared project alternatives based on 5 categories of criteria: social, natural, financial, technical, and land-related factors. The preferred solution is one that reduces overall impacts and provides the required technical performance while minimizing life cycle costs. For each project alternative, its resilience to or potential to contribute to environmental risks or climate change will be considered. The alternatives were given a score in each of the 5 categories, which were equally weighted. Scores are indicated with circles. The fuller the circles in each category are, the higher the alternative was scored. The alternatives with the highest overall score across all categories were then selected as the preliminary preferred solutions. The following table presents the comparative evaluation results for Zone 1, showing how alternatives scored against the criteria. Alternative 1A, which increases the pressure at the water treatment plant slightly and increases the fill rate at the West Lambton pump station reservoir, scored the highest out of all Zone 1 alternatives. Next, we will look at the solution alternatives proposed to address the primary projected service challenges for Zone 2. Notably, these upgrades would only be required by 2036 in the event that an additional municipal customer, Kettle and Stony Point First Nation, decide to connect to this subsystem. The first alternative proposed for Zone 2 was extensive upsizing of the feeder main from the East Lambton booster station to the community of Forest. The construction of a water main along Lakeshore Road from Townsend Line to the north edge of the subsystem is also proposed in order to reduce head losses in the north end of the system. This new northern section of water main is included as part of all the alternatives for Zone 2, and so this portion was not directly considered in the evaluation. Alternatives 2A and B involve balancing the strategies of upsizing the existing feeder main with implementing pump upgrades at the East Lambton booster station to meet required service pressures. The last set of alternatives for Zone 2 includes the construction of a 300mm twinned water main. The first option proposes a full twin feeder main from the East Lambton booster station to the intersection of Lakeshore Road and Townsend Line, where it would tie into the new main proposed as part of all Zone 2 alternatives. Alternatively, a partial twin combined with minor pump upgrades at the East Lambton booster station could also be implemented to maintain service levels. The preliminary cost estimates for Zone 2 shortlisted alternatives are as shown. Capital and operational costs were both factored into the comparison of alternatives. The results of the comparative evaluation for Zone 2, which addresses servicing challenges if the new customer connection occurs, are shown here. Alternative 3A, which plans a full twin to the subsystem north end, scored the highest out of all the Zone 2 alternatives. Lastly, we will take a look at the solution alternatives proposed to address the primary projected service challenge for Zone 3. Notably, the entire demand growth associated with proposed development in Alvinston was accounted for in this analysis. Zone 3 alternatives include 1. Upsizing of much of the existing feeder main from East Lambton booster station to Warwick. Or 2, constructing a new booster pump station and reservoir to facilitate transmission to the east side of the system. This option would also involve some feeder main upgrades. The preliminary cost estimates for Zone 3 short-listed alternatives are as follows. Capital and operational costs were both factored in to the comparison of these alternatives. Lastly, we have the comparative evaluation results for Zone 3, showing how alternatives scored against the criteria. Alternative 2, which plans a new booster pump station and reservoir, scored the highest out of the two alternatives for Zone 3. This slide presents a summary of the updated cost estimates and timelines for previously planned upgrades to the LAWSS system. It is recommended that the grid reinforcement and twinning projects be initiated before 2046, alongside establishing and refining water-taking agreements with new and existing large industrial and commercial customers. This slide presents a summary of the master plan preferred alternatives for each respective zone of the system, as well as additional recommendations for pump upgrades at the East Lambton Booster Station and a water treatment plant capacity study. Recommendations from the study of the water treatment plant capacity are planned to be included in the next iteration of the master plan. Following PIC number 2, the team will review and consider input received during the Public Information Center. The team will finalize the preferred solution and develop the final recommendation. We will then prepare a report and satisfy the documentation requirements of the Class EA process. And lastly, the report will be made available for public comment. The timeline shown here illustrates where we are in this project. Most steps have been completed, and the last major milestone that remains will be to complete the final master plan document and make it available to the public. The team aims to complete this final step within the first quarter of 2026. Before we proceed further, we want to hear from you, the residents and business owners of Lambton County, LAWSS customers, and all interested persons. We want to know your concerns and preferences so that we can plan ahead. You are invited to get involved by reaching out to our project team. You can stay informed by checking our website or through the project notices posted on the website. We will review all feedback and comments received during the project. These are important as they will help us make sure the preferred solution considers your concerns and preferences. Once we have done that, we will confirm the preferred solution. Thank you for helping us shape the future of drinking water infrastructure in Lambton County.